Okay, perfect. Mhm. Okay, so yeah, so basically, the unmet need that was seen within the courthouse was that there were a lot of people coming to court and they needed support. So, we provide that legal service to the community. We are in partnership with the Judicial Council of California, the LA County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, and a California universities, including USC. And we are also a statewide program. So just so you know, we have a program also in San Diego and the Bay Area, but the biggest chunk of the program is LA because we have the most amount of members and courthouses. So we have a very big cohort here in Los Angeles. And our mission really is to help provide greater access to justice for all. So why was JusticeCorps created in the first place? It was created because, California was experiencing an explosion in the number of people who were appearing in court without an attorney. And as you can imagine, appearing in court without an attorney is a very difficult and challenging thing to do because attorneys, they go to law school for 3 years, they have to pass the bar. So it's very difficult for normal people to just go to the court and know what they're supposed to do. The system doesn't work that way. So a majority of these individuals cannot afford legal representation. That said, in California, an experienced attorney charges $300 to $500 per hour. So that means that a simple amicable divorce can cost around $6,000. And the average cost for a divorce is $17,500. That's a lot of money for people. So a lot of people simply cannot afford to pay for an attorney if they are in some sort of legal trouble. And studies have shown that there is a connection between poverty and the lack of access to the courts. And the biggest barriers to taking a case to court is really the inability to hire an attorney. And this means that increasingly we have a system where people with money have much easier access to the courts than people with low income. So it's really a big disadvantage for those individuals. And basically, if you don't have an attorney for a lot of these people, their cases would never move along because they just didn't have the knowledge, the legal education to know what to do with their court case. So some of the systemic barriers that people face is, the complexity of the cases. Our goal is to really mitigate these systemic barriers. Litigants who represent themselves, they really have that challenge of lacking that legal knowledge because the system was truly designed for attorneys to navigate. It's a very confusing process and it leads to many unresolved cases. Prior to our existence, people would come to court and the case, they would fill out some court forms and they would submit them and they were like, oh, my court case is done. I did everything I had to do. But the people didn't know that, it's not enough to simply submit your court forms. There's actually a lot of different steps that you have to take afterwards to for that case. For example, with a divorce case, it's a 6 month process. So there's a lot of steps they have to take afterwards. So that lack of education, that knowledge that they don't have, plays a big role in whether they're going to be able to complete their court case. So complexity of the cases, the education, and then there's also the language barrier that people face. A lot of people don't speak English, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but all court forms have to be filed in English. If English is not your native language, how do you fill out these court forms? It's basically impossible unless you have some sort of assistance to submit the form. So that's also like a big challenge for people. It can be very intimidating for them if they just don't have that language. So language access is also very important and is another barrier that people face. So now I'm gonna show you guys a video about self-help centers. These are the centers where people can come to the court and receive assistance with their court cases, and it'll give you kind of a quick view of what our centers look like. And this video, just for so that you know, it was filmed in the Bay Area. Basically, it's similar to LA, similar processing system that you'll see, but it'll give you kind of a bigger picture of where we place our participants and the type of work that is being done in the self-help centers where we place all of our interns and volunteers. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play. Actually, I'm gonna stop sharing because I think I did not click on the audio part. Just want to make sure you guys have access to the audio. Let me make sure. Audio. Okay, actually in my, oh, share sound, perfect. And if you have difficulty hearing, just let me know.
Every year, millions of Californians come to court to address legal problems. Often, they don't have the resources to hire an attorney, and they don't know how to get legal help. The California courts have made a major investment in access to justice by providing free self-help centers in every trial court in the state. The centers are directed by a supervising attorney who works for the court in order to provide information and guidance to everyone who requests assistance. Because the courts need to remain neutral, we cannot provide legal advice to the litigants, but we can and do offer extensive information and education regarding how to address their legal issues through the court process. Since we provide services to all people who have cases in the California courts, we don't screen for income, conflicts, immigration status, or a wide variety of issues that legal aid programs are required to screen for. Over 4.3 million people come to court in California each year without an attorney. 90% of family law cases have at least one party without a lawyer, and 90% of tenants in eviction cases represent themselves. In California, as is the case nationally, more than 75% of civil cases have at least one party without an attorney. Many of these litigants can handle all or a portion of a case with the assistance of a self-help center, but many will need more assistance. One of the key things that a self-help center does is identify what the person needs and who can best provide that assistance. This process is called triage. It involves identifying the legal issue and the ability of the person to handle the issue and knowing what resources are available to help. For example, if a tenant came in with a notice of eviction, the intake worker might look to see when the response is due, the type of eviction, whether there's an attorney on the other side, and whether the customer reads and speaks English. The tenant might need to get an answer on file immediately and get help preparing the forms with the assistance of instruction sheets, a computer program, a trained volunteer, a staff attorney, or a paralegal. It might become clear in the process that the case would be one that legal aid would likely take, or one that could be resolved with mediation, or where other community resources could help. The center would explain those resources in order to make a good referral. The tenant would get information on how eviction cases proceed in court and how to prepare for settlement conferences and trials. The tenant could come back later in the case for another consultation or class. By sorting customers based on their specific needs, the triage process improves efficiency enormously, helping people get the information they need, when they need it, and in a format they can use. Oftentimes, people don't know what issues can be helped with legal solutions and whether they have a complicated situation that needs a lawyer or not. Our centers help people sort out issues, help with what they can, and give good referrals for issues where people need additional assistance. We work closely with legal aid, the bar, social services, and justice partners to provide the most effective services possible. Each center develops its services based on their specific community's resources and needs. Today, we're going to have a look at the Self-Help Center in San Francisco. Let's see how they work to identify the right resources and services for litigants in their community.
The Self-Help Center is for self-represented litigants. We open our doors on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday for a walk-in. When the doors open, there's usually already a line in place, and we have signage and also a video screen that tells folks what types of services that we offer. And we see about per day between 120 to 140 people. At the intake counter, we have two different positions. The first is a clerk who is going to triage the case. Are you in the right place? Are you in the right department? Are you in the right county? Are you self-represented or do you have an attorney? So it's really very similar to a filing clerk's check-in window, but much more extensive services. If the person is in the right court and we can provide services that day, the triage worker writes a ticket, very similar to taking an order at a restaurant, with the customer's name, timestamps it, and hands that ticket over to another worker that is the second tier triage. And the second tier worker is either an attorney or a paralegal. So the second tier triage is what we call the expediter. He or she distributes the cases to the caseworker and also works with the folks who are waiting in our waiting area. Some folks will go on the Judicial Council website and print out their own forms, fill up their forms, but they just want one more glance over and have a couple of questions. They are also our customers. Those folks, if they want a little bit extra assistance in the divorce, they will come to our workshop such that, we can really provide services to 10 to 15 people with one staff member. We don't hand out forms, just a packet of forms, because we have found that the customer will return with the portions of the forms highlighted and still blank. So we provide the one-on-one assistance so that we can explain what the form is asking, and if the person is not able to write, we can write that for them. We can act as scribes. We're really fortunate in San Francisco because the resources are so rich with the law schools, even undergraduates. We have a collaboration with the AmeriCorps JusticeCorps program. So every year we have, from September through May, 14 to 18 dedicated part-time JusticeCorps members. So it's about being efficient with the different tiers of services that we can provide.
They help you with some paperwork. There's no way in America can a person fill out this paperwork. So they take out their precious time to sit there, and they don't just run it on you. They break it down to you and let you know and understand what's going on here. And that's what I love about the self-help, and that's why I always come when I need them.
Well, I have a child custody case pending, and I really have no idea what to do. I haven't had any idea for a while, and finally I found out that I can come in here into the self-help center, and it's really helpful because I can't afford an attorney. So I'm really grateful for them because they showed me which way to go and how to fill out paperwork. And I'm not very smart at filling out paperwork, and they did go step by step, which is real good. And they told me where to file it, which is probably the biggest problem I had. I didn't know where to go. And I'm happy that they're here. Because of them, I have this help, and I'm able to be a part of my son's life, which is what I wanted to do.
I don't know. I don't know what I would do if this center wasn't here. I would be lost. Really, I would be lost in the system, really, because I don't understand everything that I'm reading here. I don't understand the legal terminology.
I was in the middle of a very stressful living situation. My landlord was trying to increase my rent by like 2 or 3-fold, and not being a legal professional, I had no idea if what he was doing was illegal or what my rights were in the situation at all. So after spending quite a few hours looking for answers in all kinds of different places in San Francisco, finally somebody pointed me in the direction of the Access Center, where I got all the answers I needed and found out that what he was doing was completely illegal. So thanks to the answers I got at the Access Center, I was able to file an action against him and ended up winning.
I needed help with my divorce. I wasn't getting it with the online sources that I was using. And so when I came to the Self-Help Center, they helped me put all my papers together that I needed, the necessary ones, the things that needed to be amended that, the online source didn't help me with. And then as a result of all of that, today I am getting the divorce I had been waiting for.
Self-help centers are an increasingly important resource for people to navigate California's court system and to gain access to justice.
They give you hope for a better day or a brighter day.
So I wanted to show you that video because I feel like it gives you the opportunity to get a view of what the self-help centers kind of look like, even if we only saw one. But it also kind of shows you some of the type of problems that litigants come to the center for and how grateful they really are for receiving that service. Because for a lot of people, like they were saying, They don't have the means to pay for an attorney. It's a very confusing system. They don't know what steps to take. And by coming to the center and receiving one-on-one assistance with from one of our volunteers or Justice Corps, or even attending a workshop that's facilitated by one of our Justice Corps fellows, it goes a long way in making sure that they have that opportunity to present their case in front of a judge and just have their fair day in court, making sure that they have equal access to justice. Because even if you might have some resources online, it's not easy to understand, and it's really helpful when you have somebody explaining step by step to you. So now we're going to talk about some of the limitations of the self-help centers. So we learned a little bit about the centers right now, but some of the limitations that they have is that they have limited staff. So they don't have enough attorneys and court employees to provide services to the community. As you heard in the video, they have a very big influx of people who are coming to the centers every single day. It's a very big volume, and it's on a first serve come basis. So that means if, somebody came and they weren't there early enough, they might not receive the assistance that they need. And sometimes you have people, for example, that you might have somebody who's a single mother who had to take a day off, had to make childcare arrangements to come to the court, and they might get turned away. And there's also like really long lines in the morning. So it's a lot of people who are coming in for this service. And we don't do any like active recruiting to find people to come to the centers. They just find us, and we have a very huge volume. And the centers, they heavily rely on community volunteers. A lot of the community volunteers that they have, they come with the best intentions, but some of them only volunteer for a very short term, maybe like a month or two, or they're not very consistent when they come in to volunteer at the centers. So, given all of these different limitations that self-help centers face, they looked for a solution to kind of solve that problem. And one of the solutions that they came up with was the JusticeCorps program. The JusticeCorps program helps to provide term structure. So that helps create like a long-term commitment so they have reliable volunteers who are coming in consistently. We have three different programs that I'll talk a little bit more in depth, but our different programs, they have different time commitments. Our summer program has a 300-hour commitment. Our school year program is 300 hours, and our fellowship that's for recent graduates is a 1,700-hour commitment. So by having this program, it really allows them to have a set schedule where they have reliable volunteers coming in every day. For example, if I'm a current undergraduate and I'm volunteering during my school year, I don't have classes on Mondays, so I'm coming in every Monday to do 8 hours of service at the court, and I'm there doing that for my entire fall semester. And then they changed my schedule for the spring, but they have that commitment from me that I will be volunteering for that time period. And also, Justice Corps are ideal volunteers because it's college students who they're bright, quick learners. They have a passion for social justice. They care about the community and helping to ensure that people are receiving equal access to justice. Also, I really love this program because I think one of the things that makes us very unique is that all of our interns, volunteers, they're able to gain incredible hands-on experience within the legal system because you work directly with attorneys, the paralegals, and the community. This isn't a position where you are behind the scenes, answering calls, just doing data entry and not interacting with people. This position, I'd say that's one of the biggest advantages of participating in our program, that you're actually getting hands-on experience. People are coming into the center, they need that legal education, and you're actually providing them with the legal education they need with their court forms. You're making sure that they fill out their court forms correctly, and you just gain incredible experience in a fast-paced environment. And I will say that all of the work that you do is always reviewed by an attorney, so don't worry. There's always somebody supervising your work, so there's always supervision. And I think one of the other great aspects of our program is the professional development. You have the attorneys as mentors. We also have fellows who serve as mentors. You're able to receive great letters of recommendation. We also offer a ton of different panels throughout the year and opportunities to hear from different professionals and our extensive alumni network. We do different personal development topics that include financial literacy, taking the LSAT, applying to law school, stress management, scholarship navigation, postgraduate opportunities, and a lot of different other topics. And we're always inviting attorneys, law school admission, directors, judges, and different community leaders to come share their story with all of our members. So being in Justice Corps really gives you access to all of these different opportunities throughout the month. So we always have something in our curriculum on a monthly basis. So now let's talk a little bit about the member responsibilities. So if you intern with the program, some of the responsibilities that you will have is providing direct service to litigants. Like I said, this is the one thing that I truly love about our program is that you are on the front lines. You're not behind the scenes, just answering calls on desk, doing research, just entering data all day. You're actually working directly with members of the community. So you will sit with somebody one-on-one and you will let them know, hey, for your restraining order, these are the different steps that you're going to have to take. These are the court forms that you have to fill out. You will explain the court forms to them, and you will also let that person know what options they have. So you will say, hey, for your court case, you have option A, B, and C. And you're going to empower that person to make the best decision for their particular court case. And then once they decide, you're going to make sure that they leave knowing what the next steps are once they're done. So that way they know what they have to do from the starting point to the end. So we're really all about providing legal education. We must always be neutral. So we give only neutral legal information because we are the court. That means that, we can't say, oh, you should do this for your court case. The people who come into our centers at the self-help, they're not our clients. We're not there advising them. So all that we offer is legal education. We help anybody who comes in through our door. So maybe you're helping somebody and you're like, oh, maybe I don't agree with them. Maybe like I don't like this person, but like we provide a service to everyone who comes in. Everybody will share their different story when they come in, and we're not the judge at the end of the day. The judge is the only person who has the final information to make any sort of final decision judgment. So we're just there to make sure people have equal access to justice and can have their fair day in court so they can get from point A to point C. So all about legal education. And like I mentioned a little bit ago, attorneys review all of the work that you do. So there's a lot of support. We make sure that you never feel like you're not supported. The attorneys are also there to answer any questions that you have throughout the year. And it's just a very welcoming environment, I would say. Once you're done helping the litigant, the person you were assisting, you will give the forms to the attorney and they will review them and they'll let you know, hey, maybe there's a mistake here and there. And then you'll take the forms back to the litigant and make any necessary corrections that you have to make. So basically, everything will go through the hands of the attorneys. So you will never ruin anybody's life. So we have a whole process in place for that. So what are the areas of assistance that we provide? We help people with family, housing, and restraining orders. So that includes divorce, parentage, child custody, restraining orders, domestic violence cases, elder abuse, and evictions. These are all very difficult situations people face. So it's important to keep in mind that sometimes that when people come to the court, they might not be the friendliest. It's not personal in any way. It's just that they might be going through like a really difficult moment in their life. Just imagine, somebody's coming in for an eviction, they're on the verge of being homeless, they don't have any savings, they don't have any money. So if they get evicted from their apartment, they're basically going to be on the street. So it's a very stressful time for that person. Or you might have somebody who is coming to the center and they're going through a difficult domestic violence case, a domestic violence situation at home. And it's just like a difficult thing for people to open up and talk about. So sometimes people seem like they're not the friendliest, but it's just that they're going through a very stressful moment in life, so it's important to keep that in mind. But also, I would say that usually once people are done, they're very grateful for all of the support that they receive. As you saw in the video, people were very thankful that they got the assistance because they knew that without that service, they wouldn't be able to move on with their court case, and it just made the whole process easier for them. Okay, so a little bit about the Justice Course service model. At this time, all of our programs are that we have that are offering are in person. So you would have to be at one of our LA courthouses when you provide service at one of the self-help centers. And we do offer some remote services to the litigants who need the support. So we do help them in different workshops, but all the service that our interns, volunteers are conducting are in person. And we also got, when the pandemic happened, we had to transition to remote, but we got a lot of feedback, and all of the interns and fellows really said that they really valued coming in and that they honestly felt like they were getting the most out of the program just by coming in on site. It also really helps build community with all of the different participants. As I mentioned earlier, we're a very big program. There's a lot of different students who participate in the program and recent graduates, and you really get to build a beautiful bond and connection with them by serving together, by seeing each other in person, and also you bond because you're in the trenches together when you're doing the work. So it's a very unique opportunity, not only to gain very meaningful hands-on experience, but also to meet a lot of incredible people who have similar interests and passions and just have similar interests. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about the about the program, but I haven't mentioned like the specific positions that we have. And we have three positions. We have the fellowship, the academic year, and a summer term. So the fellowship is available to those who are graduating, so for recent graduates, and it's a 12-month commitment, and it's perfect for those thinking about taking a gap year and just wanting to gain experience in that time. At the end of the program, you receive a $10,000 education award. That award is used for educational expenses. And then you also receive a monthly stipend and healthcare insurance. And I believe that the total monthly stipend for the entire year is about $34,000 for the fellowship. And then the academic year and the summer internships, they both have a 300-hour time commitment. And the academic year program runs from September through August. It's during your school year. And you're doing about 7.5 to 8 hours of service every week. So like I mentioned earlier, if I'm a student at USC and I have every Monday off, then maybe I could volunteer every Monday. Or if I don't have a full day off, I could do two separate shifts. Maybe I could do a Wednesday morning and a Friday morning shift for service. And at the end of the academic year, you receive a $1,565 education award for educational expenses. The summer program is also really incredible. It's a commitment from June through August. You do 300 hours of service. It's basically full time during the summer. But the one thing I will say I really like about this program is that you're coming in every single day to the self-help center, so you really get to learn the material really well and fast. Because I love the academic year program, but when you only come once or twice a week, so it takes a little bit longer to master the material. But with the summer, you're coming in very consistently, and it allows for you to build out knowledge faster and build very strong connections with all of the other interns that you're serving with. And you also receive a $1,565 education award at the end. So these are the three programs that we are offering with JusticeCorps. And for the program, we place all of our interns in different courthouses depending on where they live. When you submit an application, you select your top two or three choices that you have. So for example, you all attend USC, so if you want to apply for the academic year program, you're most likely going to pick downtown LA because if you're living on campus, downtown LA courthouse is the closest courthouse to you, or Pasadena too, because I know like they have the I think the metro. So you have these two courthouses nearby. We also have a few people from USC who go to Compton, I've seen. And then maybe you go to USC, but maybe you live in the Valley. And you don't go to UC every single day. So we have locations in Van Nuys, Chatsworth. We even have locations in Lancaster. We have some people who come to school here, but they live in Lancaster over the summer back home. So we have a location there. We have locations in Torrance, Compton, Long Beach, Whittier, Pomona, Pasadena, and like I said, the Valley. So we're kind of spread out everywhere. There's a lot of different locations. And placement varies by site. So that means that in downtown LA, it's a very big courthouse. For that location, we recruit a lot of students. So for the school year, we get about 15 to 20 undergraduates to intern. And for the fellowship, we place about 8 to 10 fellows there for a full-time position. And for other smaller court locations like Compton, we might have about six undergraduate students in the school year, and we have like two fellows. So the number of people at each courthouse varies depending on the location. So, what are some of the benefits of applying to the program? So I would say one of the benefits it's that you receive an education award that can be used for educational expenses, and you get to network, not just with attorneys, you get to network with the attorneys, the court staff, but also with your peers. A lot of your peers will go on to do similar type of work, and it's great to have these connections. So we have a huge network, and we have a lot of alum as well. And then the professional development aspect, like I mentioned earlier, we really focus a lot on professional development. We have two different mandates. One of our mandates is, serving the community, which is really important. But also our members, they give so much to the program that we want to make sure that you have as much experience and also like opportunity to other like information. So we focus on having a lot of different topics for you throughout the year, like tackling the LSAT, law, applying to law school, how to write a personal statement, stress management, how to navigate to get like scholarship, postgraduate opportunities. We even do like vision boards at the beginning of January for our students if they want to do that. And we have a lot of different alumni who come talk about their different journeys, and just hearing from them is really incredible. And our alumni, they're really great. They love to connect with all of our Justice Corps members. We just had a panel this past weekend, and all of our alumni, they're doing really incredible things. Some of them are in law school, some of them are already working, and they all have unique different journeys, and they're all very welcoming, and they always share their contact information and are always happy to like connect with our Justice Corps. So it's also like a really great opportunity to connect with our alumni network. It has gone a very long way. So other important benefits is the interpersonal skills that you gain. You really learn how to communicate clearly your ideas, ask questions, and gain very attentive listening skills as well. And you learn to have like empathy and just like building relationships. And I will say that the one skill that every employer wants is a strong set of interpersonal skills. It's something that is always very essential. So you really develop those skills in Justice Corps. And then you also, if you do the fellowship, you're able to receive the living stipend. Like I mentioned, I think it's about 34,000 for the entire year if you do the fellowship. And then also you can get course credit. So if you want to apply for course credit, you send us your forms and we'll fill out any documentation so that you can get course credit at your campus. And I know for USC, I think they also, if you were to want to do the summer program, they have a scholarship where they pay you to do the summer program over the summer. You have to apply for that, and then they give you money to do a summer internship. So that's something else that you could apply to if you were interested in doing the summer program. I know that we had a few USC students who have done that in the past. So what does our application cycle look like? So our applications, they opened up in December. They are officially live. We are currently receiving applications. The priority deadline for our summer and fellowship program is February 17th. So if you're interested in those programs, I recommend submitting your application early on. We receive a lot of applications for the summer program because it is open to all students throughout the US. So I definitely recommend trying to submit by the priority deadline. And so the same for the fellowship. And then for the academic year, the priority deadline is early March, I think March 5th for the school year program. And we still receive applications on a rolling basis, but if you submit it by the priority deadline, it guarantees that we review your application. So we start doing interviews for the fellowship and the summer program in March, and we'll do the interviews for the school year program, I would say around April, mid-April probably. And then in June, our summer program starts. It usually starts the first weekend of June. And our ideal candidates are really people who are community focused, that have an interest in helping others. At the core, we are really empowering individuals to help make the best decision for themselves when it comes to their case. Lynn, I think you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just didn't catch what you said. You said to make sure to submit our application by when exactly to make sure it's reviewed?
Yeah, of course. So if you want to make sure your application is reviewed, you want to make sure you submit it by that priority deadline. So if you're applying for the fellowship or the summer, the priority deadline is February 17th, I believe. So you
Oh,
want to
okay.
make
I
sure.
thought that the priority deadline was even earlier than February 17th. I didn't understand.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thank
yeah.
you.
No, no. And unless I'm mistaken, and it's the third, like 13, but it's early February, I know. Like, but I think it's the 17. Let me pull out my calendar. I think it's the 16. The 16.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course. And then we have like people who submitted afterwards. Sometimes we review those. It just depends on what openings we have after the first batch. That's why I was stressing the priority deadline. Like I was saying, ideal candidates, we're also looking for people who bring diversity. So just different skills, different experiences and interests. And also people who are willing to commit to the program. Like I mentioned, the program has a 300-hour commitment for the academic year and the summer, and then a 1,700-hour commitment for the fellowship. So just finding people who are going to commit to the program for the entire duration. And then another important eligibility thing is that you need to pass a background check. And since we are an AmeriCorps program, everybody who applies to JusticeCorps has to be a legal permanent resident or a U.S. citizen since they give us funding through the federal government. And that's one of the rules that they have. And I want to show you a quick testimonial of one of our previous fellows who was really incredible and kind of why she decided to serve with JusticeCorps. She actually went to USC. So you'll hear from Lily.
So my name is Lorelai Christie, and I'm a Justice Corps Fellow at the Stanley Mosque Courthouse, which is in downtown LA, and it's one of the courthouses within the Los Angeles Superior Court system. Justice Corps Fellows and all Justice Corps members work with folks who don't have legal representation for whatever reason. A lot of the time that's because they can't afford legal representation. And we help them navigate the court system, we help them with their cases, we help them open cases. Pretty much what we do is facilitate equal access to justice. My background personally is in like organizing mostly, and I think that Justice Corps really appealed to me because it was this unique little like microcosm within the legal world that was really grassroots and really about empowering people. I educate people about all of their choices and about all of their rights and about all of their obligations within a process, but ultimately I'm just empowering them to make their own decision. I think that's really what drew me to it, is that sort of grassroots aspect. One particular area of growth, I think, has been understanding that giving everybody like a fair chance and helping everybody have the same access to justice matters. And it's also taught me a lot about my own assumptions and about how to challenge my own assumptions, even when I really think I'm right. You never actually know, you know? I think I have really grown because of that challenge. Right now, what I want to do is work on economic justice a little bit. So I want to start doing some more labor organizing and working to create better, more meaningful jobs for folks, particularly folks with a criminal record, folks who have been incarcerated, just because I have sort of seen like a bird's eye view of how that affects families. So I think that I'm going to take what I've learned here and sort of take it over to the labor movement next, hopefully. And then eventually I want to go to law school and be a public defender.
So I always like to hear a little bit from them because it's nice to hear from like previous members and participants just to get like a little bit of a taste from like what their experience was like. And then I also want to just quickly show you some of our other Justice Corps alumni that have gone on to law school and how they talk about how Justice Corps really helped them figure out what they wanted to do. You know, a lot of people have we are open to all majors, but a lot of the people that we attract have an interest in going to law school, and a lot of them aren't completely sure if that's the path that they want to take. So a lot of them have been able to solidify their plans by participating in our program because it's really helped them figure out, yes, this is something that I really want to do, or no, this is something that I might not, I'm not sure about it anymore. But here we have Lauren. I talked about how Justice Corps has provided me with a unique opportunity to give back to my community. And then Patrick, this program has been single most transformative experience. I have grown immensely as a person throughout my participation in Justice Corps, that's Sierra, and all of them have gone on to really incredible schools. I know that two of them went to UCLA, Harvard. We have alumni who have gone to a lot of really incredible schools, so it really helps them stand out when they apply to law school because it's a very unique opportunity that they participated in. And then we also have Carmen, who ended up and going down a different path, who ended up getting a master's of arts and education and international development from the University College of London in 22, and she currently leads the delivery of community projects at Restorative Justice for All, an international research institute and London-based charity dedicated to rooting out poverty through restorative practices, free community services, and evidence-based work. And I remember that when she was a fellow with our program, I believe she did 2 years of service. She knew she didn't want to go to law school, but she was very passionate about also like the aspect of providing that legal education. So like it led her to a different journey down the line, but really has talked about how Justice Corps played a meaningful impact in her journey as well. So that's a quick overview of the Justice Corps program. My contact information is here, and I just want to open it up to you all if you have any questions, anything else I can share about the program.
I had another question, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So I was wondering if you, in the hiring process, like if I were to apply for like the summer program, how necessarily competitive is it in securing a spot, or what does like the selection process look like? And then also, when reviewing the application, do you do demonstrated interest? Because I know there's like a track that USC does to Justice Corps, like one of their offices to go and visit, kind of see what the work day is like. But that coincides with class for me. So I was like kind of debating um what to do if it's worth going. That's why I joined today instead. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, okay. So for that last question, yeah, if it can be hard if you have classes. I imagine like some of your classes are hard to miss. I feel like just even watching the first video that we saw, it gives you a unique opportunity to see what the centers are like. Even though one was in San Francisco, but the centers are kind of have the same model of like the type of work we're doing, how people will come in, the big line, the triage that they go through, the one-on-one work that we provide support with, and like the inside of the center. And I thought just even hearing from the litigants, I thought was very helpful. So I feel like if you're not able to make it, it's not like a it would be nice, but if you can't, I think you got the information that you would have gotten, and I don't think it would be a big deal. But to your other question, you said that you wanted, I'm sorry, what was the first part?
I was asking like what the selection process looks
Oh, okay.
like and if you guys do demonstrated interest for applicants.
Yeah, so the selection process last year was very, very competitive. We had for in particularly the summer program, we only have about 30 slots open, and we had I think about 500 applicants apply last year. So we had to narrow down the number of people that we interviewed. And it's extra competitive because, like I mentioned, the summer program is open to every single person in the US. So we get a lot of applicants from the East Coast or like people who are studying elsewhere and come back to LA for the summer. But the reason that I always emphasize try to submit by the priority deadline is that if I have 500 applicants who submit by the February 16th deadline for the summer, I will review every application and then I will select who I invite for an interview. But that guarantees that I will look at your application. If you submit it past that deadline, I will do a second round of review. If let's just say, for example, I have some openings and I might have like after that first round, I might have an opening in downtown, the Valley, and maybe like Pomona. So then I'll do another review, and then I will invite people based off of their the application, obviously, but also like the court locations that they select. I mentioned that we have a lot of different sites, so depending on like how many like other applicants submitted for Pomona, I'll review those applications just to fill up any slots that I might have.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course.
Hi, Alexa. Thank you for giving us this information today. And I have a few questions about the interview process. I was wondering how many rounds of interview there are, and what are some questions that you guys might ask us as applicants?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So we have for the academic year, it's only one round. So it's a group interview. So when I send that invite, you'll sign up for a given slot, and usually it's three people who I interview at the same time, and then there'll be two people interviewing you. And the questions that we asked are pretty basic. It's really, why do you want to join Justice Corps? Where does your passion for service come from? We really want to know why you're interested in doing this position. And for us, that's really important because a lot of people have a lot of incredible skill sets, but we want to know where does your passion for service come from and why do you want to help the community? Also, obviously, with most interviews, they always ask you, what skills do you bring to the program, you know? So, like, the different experiences that you had and different places that you worked. We value all type of work. So even if like, if you've maybe you're doing like a law internship right now, but you've also done retail in the past, that also counts. Or you volunteered at your church or like any like experience that you have, how can you like talk about any like skills that you gained throughout different programs that you participated or volunteer work, even if it was like serving at a food bank, like talk about all of those experiences and like what you can bring to the Justice Corps program. I always tell students just it's really about how you market yourself. I interview a lot of incredible people who come to me and then when I ask them questions, they're like, I have no experience. But I look at the resume, I'm like, they have experience, but they think that that experience that they might have done in a different thing isn't as valuable. So even if you did something different, like it's all about how you market it. So yeah, definitely why you want to do Justice Corps, where the passion comes from, and just talking about your skill set and also just being able to we look at your resume. So your with the application, you submit a copy of your resume. So just being ready to answer any questions that we might have about like your resume. We might ask you a little bit further about like, oh, you were in this program. Oh, you did this and that. Just can you tell me a little bit more or something specific?
Got it. Thank you, Alexa.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions you guys might have? Okay, that's all I have then. Our applications, you can find them online, Justice Corps Los Angeles. And like I said, if you have any like specific questions, you can also reach out to me. I'll type in my email in the chat again. I'm always happy to answer questions or jump on a call with anybody if they have any more specific questions.
You have a good day.
Thank you, you too. Have a good one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It
Thank
was
you.
really nice to meet you.
It was very nice meeting you too.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Bye. Hi everyone. So I forgot to start recording earlier on, so I'm just gonna share my screen quickly so I can just do the first slides that I think I missed. So basically, first slide I was just talking about how I'm gonna be going over the presentation, at Justice Corps, and how our mission is really providing equal access to justice. And I talked a little bit about who we are, and I went into how we are an AmeriCorps National Service funded program that's operated by the LA Superior Court. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard about AmeriCorps before, but AmeriCorps is kind of like the Peace Corps, except that we're considered the domestic Peace Corps because we're working within our own local communities here in the States. And with Peace Corps, they send you abroad to a foreign country to work within those communities. So our AmeriCorps programs really focus on a variety of different issues that include maybe like education, helping kids with after school tutoring, helping them improve test scores. Others focus on, financial services, housing, natural disaster relief. But our AmeriCorps program, Justice Corps, focuses on providing legal services to the community. And that we are a partnership with the Judicial Council of California, the LA County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, and 8 California universities, including USC. And we're also a statewide program that is located in San Diego as well and the Bay Area. But the biggest chunk of the program is LA because we have the most members in our program. So I believe that was all that I missed prior to recording. Thank you so much, everyone.